Hey, West Up is West Coast Wednesday. So Wednesdays, on top of it being West Coast Wednesday, on the East Coast, my boy Thomas L. Thomas and his church family has this devotional that they do at 7 o'clock their time, which means for your boy, I gotta be, in order to be there on there on 4 o'clock and be ready, I have to get up at least 3:30, right? Um, got up at 3 this morning because I really didn't want to miss this word. On top of, man, it's the passion that each person prays with and reads with on the Zoom devotion. Man, it's I've intended to be on there at least every other week, right? And since I did it last week, I was gonna skip this week, but then I saw my partner, my boy, man, my friend, like my real friend, Stacy Jones, was going to be giving a word on the imposter syndrome. Ironically, he and I, we talk about this often. He's really, he sows into me as it pertains to just me and the ministry that God has given me and the voice that God has given me, even in our brotherhood. So, I was like, oh, he's gonna be talking about it in detail, and so, I'm gonna have to go ahead and make sure I'm up. So I got up at 3 o'clock this morning and kind of fiddled around until 4 o'clock came. Got on the call, and Stacy killed it, right? And he killed it, and he used, man, if you ain't never seen him preach, it's my dude. I don't blow smoke. He got it, right? But he got these three eyes. I'll be, a little jealous of these brothers who can come up with these three I's, three P's, three D's, three G's, whatever it is, right? And so, he had three I's that he took out of this text that he used as it pertains to imposter syndrome, right? And why we shouldn't have imposter syndrome. The dude even quoted Hamlet, right? To thine own self be true, right? And I was like, man, I know Tupac, I know a little Ice Cube, I know a little this, a little that. I don't know Hamlet, right? So Stacy dropped some bars from Hamlet, right? And the whole idea that I took away from to thine own self be true as it pertains to imposter syndrome was the surrounding factor of if you're true to yourself, then others around you can't impact who you are, and they're going to have to respect who you are, right? And your authentic self. Because we can all wear, as he put, these filters, right? We can all come with our wigs, our weaves, our BBLs, our nails, and you know what I'm saying? We can come with all these things, our filtered self, or we can come with our true authentic selves. And imposter syndrome is bigger than that. And so I'm not going to unpack the imposter syndrome. You can look it up. But as one who does, I suffer from imposter syndrome. Not that I'm not who I am everywhere I go, because y'all already know. I mean, literally. Sometimes I think it's unfortunate. I am who I am, right? But as a preacher, if you look at these, other preachers in my context of the churches of Christ and just preachers in general, them dudes, man, I'll be like, man, them dudes are on a whole nother level. They're refined, their cadence, their style, just everything is just different. And I'm like, I'm not that. And if I try to be that, it's uncomfortable because I've tried, right? And so, that's why me and Stacy talk about it a lot, because, he always makes sure he reminds me, him and Vince Ford, they're always reminding me, bro, you know what I'm saying? God made you the way that you are for a reason. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't get caught up in none of that other stuff. And so, anyhow, he used the passage from Psalm 139, where it talks about being fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm going to give you his three eyes. I'm going to read through the passage because this is actually Stacy's West Coast Wednesday. I'm just standing in for him, right? So the three eyes are intentional or intentionally or intentionality, right? That's all, kind of in the same vein. Then it was impeccable. And then the third eye is insightful. So as I read through this text, we're going to see some intentionality. We're going to see some impeccability. Is that a word? And we're going to see some insightfulness. So the Bible reads in Psalm 139, verses 13 through 14. For you formed me in my inner parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. I think someone needs to hear it again. For you formed me in my inner parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. God, the creator of the universe, the creator of all things, the creator of the sun that sits right there and doesn't move any closer, or else it'll burn us up. The creator of the oceans that stop right there. The creators of man out of dust. That creator, that person, that power source created you, created me intentionally with specificity, right? Yeah, we may look like our parents on the outside, but God created something on the inside of us that each and every one of us have. There's something inside of us that God put in our DNA, in our soul's DNA, right? There's something that God has done on the inside of us that makes us. My personality is not a personality that I gave myself. Me wanting to be a king of comedy, I don't even, that's the personality God gave me, right? This passion that I have is something that God gave me. Right? This comfortability I have in spaces that are, not necessarily the easiest space to navigate through. I really feel like I can go to any hood, right? As an older gentleman now, I can go to any hood and I'll be good. I know the lingo, I know the walk, I know the respect, I know the codes, right? And I know, what I'm saying, how to be humble, right? And so I believe that's part of who God made me, not only who God made me, where he made me at, right? So God doesn't make any mistakes, right? So when we look at ourselves in the natural, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. We always think it's about our appearance, our physical appearance. That's the last part of the thing that matters most, right? Because it's going to fade away. But when God created me, he formed my inner parts, not just my heart and my kidney and my spleen, my inner man, the thing that gets me animated, the thing that gives me life, that inner focus or drive that some people have that you just don't have. God gave them that inner drive. You don't have it. You have to work at it. You have to work to do certain things other people that's easy for other people because God created them that way. Your fingerprint on the outside of you is an indicator of something that God did on the inside of you. No other person has this fingerprint. God did not create any other person to do what God has called you to do in his kingdom economy. And so God is intentional, right? And God's timing, God is impeccable. God does not make a mistake. God, placed you in this time and this season. He didn't place you in the 1800s. He didn't place you in 1865. Hello, somebody. He didn't. I sound like Stacy. Hello, somebody. God didn't place you in 1965. God placed you in the time he placed you in for a reason. And you have to be mindful of the fact that God, who created you with a purpose, allowed you to be born in a time and space for a reason. His timing is impeccable. It's his timing. He created you for such a time as this, right? And then the third eye was God also created me to be insightful. And if I'm going to sit down long enough, realizing that God created me, and that what God created me, because he created me, I am fearfully, reverently. That God didn't just, I'm going to sprinkle a little fairy dust. God made me intentionally. So I owe God something. He intentionally made me, but he fearfully and wonderfully he made me. So no matter what everybody else says, no matter what everybody else appreciates about me, when I sit down long enough to recognize that God made me this way, I'm good. The brotherhood may not necessarily appreciate but God made me this way. I'm good. Some people might want me to go to school in order to, to refine certain things, but the hood is good with me, and we need to be out in the streets saving. So how can we combine the two if we're not? Anyway, so God fearfully and wonderfully made me. And as I ponder on this, I then say, wonderful are his works. If God's works are wonderful and he fearfully made me, I'm one of his works, man, I'm wonderful. Imposter syndrome won't allow you to be great. You downplay who you are. Or because you see yourself as you see yourself and not as God has made you, you'll make yourself lower than you actually are in order to make other people comfortable. You're great. You're wonderful. That's how God made you. It is not for you to be braggadocious. It's not for you to be boastful about who you are. And, no, God made me. And it's all to his praise and all to his glory. Why? Because it's for the work of the kingdom. God made you, as Stacy said, on purpose, for a purpose, or with a purpose, right? Take off the filters. Take off the BBLs. When you take it all off, your soul will show. Take off all that stuff that has attached itself to your soul. Right? We know filters on the outside, but there are things that are filtered on the inside of us. There are BBLs on the inside of us. There's brokenness on the inside of us that doesn't belong to us, that God didn't create in us, that the world tried to put on us. But when we see ourselves beyond that brokenness and who God has made us fearfully and wonderfully, man, wonderful are your works. God's works are wonderful because God's works are wonderful. Right? And I know that, and I'm God's work, that I too am wonderful. And it's okay to be great. It's okay that nobody else has my fingerprint. It's okay that I am a special design. I'm a special design. God, I was made to order. There's nobody else like me, right? Even if you have a twin, right? Even if you have a fraternal twin, a paternal twin, whatever type of twin, even if they still don't have the same fingerprint. And my soul knows it very well, insightful. My soul knows it very well. That means I sit with this thing. Because all that other stuff is sitting in me. I have to sit with the fact that God created me. He was intentional about creating me. His timing was impeccable. And as I'm being insightful, I can see how great my God is and that I am. It's okay to be great. So that's my word of encouragement for us on this West Coast Wednesday, man. No matter where you are in space and time, God created you for a purpose. Whatever that purpose is, you got to sit with that thing. And as you sit with who God created you to be, look at your personality, the things that pull you, the things that excite you, the things that motivate you, the things that make you feel like you've accomplished something that is not only for you, but other people. Because whatever God does for you, he's doing it so it impact other people. That's how our God is. God is a God who multiplies things. So he gives you something to help other people. Anyways, whoever you are, wherever you are in life, God made you for a purpose. He made you in purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. And I pray that that you'll walk in that, and that you don't walk in being an imposter, but you'll be somebody who has overcome impossibilities, improbabilities, and become what God has made you to be. This is my West Coast Wednesday, but it's really Stacy Jones' West Coast Wednesday, as he has sown into my life time and time again. And this morning, I will share the video, but this morning he did another fantastic job. So from me and Stacy, stay blessed, stay West.